and its future can be integrated as one. We all aspire to make the walled city a place for the youth, for families, and for everyone in general. We want Intramuros to come alive, a place where one could be free of inhibitions and enjoy culture and heritage for enrichment. I am pleased that this afternoon's webinar tackles on important topics such as branding and design for heritage and cultural institutions. I was told that our speakers, Reymart and Vince, the team behind Public School Manila, is known for their contribution in helping Escolta in Manila with its revitalization. Reymart and Vince are now doing the same for Intramuros. Thank you to the two. If you have seen our social media accounts for Intramuros administration, you'll notice that it has a fresher, more upbeat look and feel, plus exciting programs and activities for everyone. We encourage the public to take part in these changes because Intramuros belongs to the people. We are rebranding for a reason, that we wish everyone to see the walled city as a diverse and holistic district. It will grow and develop in the years to come, and despite the current challenges that we face, we know that Intramuros will overcome all of these, just as it has done so several times before. I look forward to the webinar and hope that this afternoon's talk will inspire others to bring in fresh perspective on heritage, culture, and creativity. Thank you, and mabuhay kayong lahat.
Thank you very much, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, for that very engaging and inspiring message. Let me just introduce our speakers for this afternoon. So Reymart and Vince are from Public School Manila. They are an independent branding and design studio based in Escolta, and they focus on helping government agencies and non-profit organizations, as well as startup companies with communication and design needs. They are currently the creative consultants for the Intramuros administration, and they had previously served the same for various government agencies, such as the MMDA, the Commission on Elections, the Nayong Pilipino Foundation, and the Department of Budget and Management. As an advocate of good public design, the team has worked with local cultural and heritage institutions like Memoraria Manila, Japan Foundation Manila, Lopez Museum and Library, Ayala Museum, and the President Elpidio Quirino Foundation. An active member of the Escolta Block community, they also co-founded the Manila Creative Exchange. This is an initiative that serves as a platform for Manila creatives to collaborate and commune through different programs like the Escolta Block Party. All right, so after everything that happened during this session, okay, Reymart and Vince, hi. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon.
Hello, Sheena. Thank you for
Hi,
inviting
magandang
us.
hapon sa inyo.
Okay naman yung
alright.
audio?
Ha?
Okay naman yung audio.
Yeah, okay naman yung audio yung dalawa. Okay, so for this 10th episode of the Intramuros Learning Sessions, we want to make it a little bit different from our previous sessions. So gusto natin medyo free-flowing yung conversation dahil creatives kayo, at ang gusto naman nating i-accommodate dito are also the young creatives and those people really working in heritage and cultural institutions. So I hope everyone's encouraged to post their questions in the Q&A box of Zoom, or you can also comment on Facebook Live, and then we'll be reading your questions throughout the sessions. Okay, so I hope you all are comfortable and you're all relaxed so that we can start our sessions. Okay? All right, so Reymart and Vince, could you tell us more, like, what is Public School Manila? Who is Public School Manila?
Yes. Well, just an introduction. I can share also our a short deck that we can revisit every now and then. So for a visual aid. So the Public School Manila, we're a multidisciplinary design studio based in Escolta, Manila. So we've been around since 2015. So like you mentioned before, we've previously been the creative consultants for Commission on Elections, Department of Budget and Management, Nine Filipino Foundation, and other government agencies. So that's one of our advocacies talaga when it comes to our design work. We want to work with government agencies and NGOs and also startup companies when it comes to their communication needs. So there, we started in Escolta back in 2000, I think 2015, 2016. So, ayun, so this is the two of us. So Vince and I. So si Vince, ito yung office namin now. Pero we haven't visited in a while because of the pandemic. And yeah, when we started, this is how it looked like. So, yun, parang we started from scratch talaga. Yun. And we figured kasi before na since we'll be working a lot with heritage and cultural institutions and even government agencies, so parang it's strategic to locate our studio right at the heart of Manila. So, yun, very accessible with sa Intramuros and also Nine Filipino Foundation before, and Department of Budget Management eventually. So there. Yeah. So side note lang, we have an office pet just to para lang hindi sobrang serious na discussion. So this is Lindy. So she's with me actually right now. So she's named after our national artist for architecture. So parang this is also explains parang one of our parang advocacies na parang to champion yung Filipino design when it comes to yun, parang the local scene, especially sa government agencies and also like public information. So ako, I used to be a brand manager before for a tech company. Si Vince. Vince, we may want to add on dun sa introduction.
Yeah. So I used to work for a design studio at Manila. So for me personally, I think that's where I started yung for Manila and the Philippines and local culture. And then after that, I started working freelance. And then I ended up working for Intramuros administration way back 2014. Yeah.
Okay. Alright. So, thanks Reymart and Vince. Actually, ang ganda ng office nila eh. Tambay ako ng office nila actually. Kapag kailangan namin mag-brainstorm, I cross the Jones Bridge to walk to their office to Escolta. Alright. So, before we proceed, para sa mga hindi familiar sa branding, can you break it down a little bit? What do we mean when we say branding?
Well, actually, there are a lot of things that we need to discuss when it comes to branding. But yeah, basically, it's all about like building who you are and parang what you are and what you stand for, and then actually parang effectively communicating it through different strategies and also different materials. So I think yung I can show you. We can show you a good example on it. So I can share on that my screen. So this is one of my favorite quotes when it comes to branding. So from Scott M. Davis. So image and perception help drive value. So without an image, there is no perception. So I think it's very important to know na parang what you show out there isn't just parang the end all be all of branding. So it has to come from within, especially for cultural and heritage institutions. No, we have to build yung structure for us to present ourselves in a very parang in a way na mas itatrust tayo ng public, and also in a way na parang mas magiging interested yung stakeholders sa atin. So yung one of the examples that we usually give when we do like branding exercises and workshops is yung bottled water na parang bottled water example. So parang there are two bottled waters parang presented in front of you, and parang it's the first one is a blank bottle with no label, with nothing on it. It's sealed, but then again you can see anything aside from the water in the bottle. And then the next one is like parang a branded bottle. So parang ano yung difference ng dalawa? So parang 100% of the time, when we ask them kung ano yung i-consume nila right away, it's the branded bottle. So parang, and when we ask why, of course, a lot of reasons, but primarily because since you're going to consume it, it has to be, you have to trust whatever, parang whatever's inside, you have to trust the brand or whatever is inside the bottle. And also, you also parang you have to know where it's from. So a lot of things, a lot of elements, and parang factors na kailangan i-consider ng mga tao before they consume it. And parang I think it goes parang perfectly dun sa pag-explain about branding. So, yeah. So, ayun, just to further explain why branding is important. So, ito very technical, pero I think this is very important for people na very interested in branding. And I know na parang most ng participants right now natin is very interested sa branding. So, this is parang, ito yung parang for me, one of the foundations na kailangan alam nating lahat when it comes to branding. Na meron siya talagang tatlong views. So the first one is navigation. So just to be technical about it, is parang for navigation, according to David High, it helps consumers choose from a bewildering array of choices. And then again, we have engagement. So brands use distinctive imagery and language and associations to encourage customers to identify with the brand. So dito pumapasok yung design. So yung colors, yung images, yung mga logos na nilalagay natin. So it has to be engaging. And then parang the last one, like nung minention ko dun sa bottled water, reassurance. So kailangan ma-reassure ng brand that yung choice na ginawa nila or that they're going to make will probably give them the most benefit. So, and also, parang they have to trust the brand. So, ito, yung example ko na image is, this is actually a photograph by Andres Gursky called 99 Cent. It was once one of the most expensive photograph. So, yun, parang trivia lang, no, parang it was sold parang around 3.3 million in London back in 2007. So, makikita mo dito sa parang, I know parang most of us pupunta ng grocery madalas right now, and yun, parang when you go inside the grocery, parang you're always presented with a lot of choices. And parang how you interact with those, parang it's usually based dun sa colors and also sa information na binibigay sa'yo ng mga brands and also the packaging. So parang it's the same with institutions. Kaya it's very important na parang whatever we put out there is parang will actually explain who we are and what we do, so that parang maging relatable tayo sa kanila. So yeah. So far, I think if you have any questions, how about you, Sheena? Do you have any questions so far?
I think okay inject at this time, since you're talking about the importance of branding, it's a question of Edgar Ibanez. Without the rebranding and design of heritage and cultural institution, does it mean death to those institutions to the general public? Bigat na.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think yung rebranding, parang hindi naman lahat, well for me, hindi lahat ng institutions or ng mga heritage sites parang kailangan ng rebranding. It all goes to it must come from a place na it must address a problem. So basically that's it. It must address a problem, but also not just a problem. Whenever an institution wants to re-strategize the way they approach things and the way they talk to their audience, I think it's very important to consider rebranding, or at least parang streamlining your materials and also your communication. So hindi naman siya death, at least for me, kapag hindi ka nag-rebrand. Kasi kailangan may need for it, and also parang may ina-address yung problem.
Okay. So I know you have examples to expound on this further, some of the destinations in Manila na natulungan ng branding and redesign. Maybe you can show us some of those examples.
Yes. So just to further discuss lang yung presentation earlier. So ayun nga, when it comes to the navigation, so now that we're talking about navigation, there's this one project that we did with a Hong Kong agency. They're an NGO based in Hong Kong. They're called I Discover. What they do is they map out cultural and heritage sites around districts. I think they started in Southeast Asia. So the first one they did for for Manila is Binondo, I think. This one. So this map. So what they do is they map out the heritage and cultural sites na hindi frequently visited by tourists para ayun, para lang mabigyan ng more kumbaga more focus or parang mabigyan ng ano yung ma-focus yung stories ng mga less frequented na mga places like Binondo. So that's what we did. First they asked around yung neighborhood for samples, for their favorite spots. So it's actually made by the neighborhood. So we did the material, so the maps and also the illustration. So there. As you can see, parang merong clear path kung saan pupunta, and it also helps yung mga tourists and even locals to parang on where to visit, parang what to visit and also where to go when you specifically need something. So very helpful siya. So this is just a parang specific branded material, but it's not really branding. But it's a way on how we can guide the consumers of the information also travelers. So another example that we did very fast lang is yung Sikia Mansion. It's called the First Malacanang of the North. So ayun, very simple lang yung ginawa naming branding for them. So there are 5 families who are parang taking care of the mansion. So before, wala talagang anything inside the house. So yun, parang nakakita kami ng symbol inside the house and the furniture inside na etong S lang na to. So parang ito yung ginamit namin para mag-symbolize dun sa pag-rebrand nila, and also something that we can carry throughout dun sa mga pag-publish ng mga materials for them. So we also did wayfinding materials and also signages and maps. Tapos I think yung gusto kong i-highlight dito sa project na to is this one. Parang guided siya, parang self-guided tour. So for Sikia Mansion, what we did was to introduce a self-guided tour. So there are cards around the house, and you can there are numbers. So meron siyang kwento, and you can actually do your tour by yourself lang. So you don't need tourist guide. So again, it addresses a problem kasi wala silang ma-hire na guide. So or pag na-hire silang guide, very limited lang yung capacity. So yun, these are the things that good design can address. So when it comes to like institutions and heritage sites. So
Okay. All right. So those are really nice examples, like Binondo. I'm really not from Manila. I've just heard of Binondo. And when I got there, it was really daunting kasi ang dami mong parang pwedeng puntahan, ang dami mong sikot-sikotan. But like when you see visuals that are helpful for you to place where you are in that specific place, it does really help you navigate the area. And later we will be sharing you the walking maps also that Vincent and Reymart did for the Intramuros administration. Now, let's proceed. Since a lot of our attendees are really working with cultural and heritage institutions, how do they start? Where do they start when they want to rebrand or redesign at least some of their materials to start?
yes, just to continue lang the discussion then. I think the first one that we can share with everyone is parang telling your own story. So ever since the beginning, when it comes to dealing with projects, really want parang our clients or even yung mga institutions to tell their own story. Kasi parang, well, there were also instances na may mga clients kami na gusto nilang mag-make up ng own story kasi they believe something na parang cool or something na feeling nila papatok sa masa or sa market that they're targeting. And in the end, nagfi-fail yung brand and nagfi-fail yung project because they're telling a different story. And it's a story of someone else or parang something that they've created out of necessity or parang out of like addressing parang a very specific economical purpose. So for us, for heritage and cultural institutions, I think we have a lot of materials that we can get inspiration from. So yun nga, parang just to give you like a good example for whole, parang yun nga, in a world where you can be anything, be yourself. So yun, parang lagi namin ni-remind yung mga institution that we worked with na just know who you are and parang just keep on like parang playing your strengths parang with your strengths and also parang addressing yung ano talaga yung goals nung institution. So I think this is a good example of for a project is yung sa I think this is centenary of birth centenary of Cesar Legazpi, our national artist for visual arts. So just to give you lang parang a short explanation on how we usually start a project. So when it comes to Cesar Legazpi, very personal yung naging approach ng client dito kasi as in like we had dinners and we had also lunches with the whole family, with the Legazpi family. So parang yung workshop namin with them is very personal kasi stories about their lolo, stories about their father. So parang ganun yung naging start nung creative process namin. And parang we found out a lot of things about him that are not usually published. Specifically, I think yung pagiging colorblind niya. Kasi parang they don't want to parang ayaw nilang i-hype yung pagiging colorblind niya kasi it might sound as parang very gimmicky for a visual artist. Pero we also took that into consideration when it comes to like coming up with the branding for the celebration. So very multifaceted siya and parang he loves geometry, parang overlapping of colors and overlapping of elements. And then parang very collaborative din siya nung back in the day. So parang what he usually did was to invite young artists sa place niya to discuss about art and also parang to discuss about that parang siya din updated din siya dun sa mga nangyayari and also parang sa mga techniques, especially before na wala pang internet. So ito yung some of the paintings and then parang ginawa namin ni Vince is we identified 100 na very simple lang. Parang although medyo natagalan kami dito kasi very nakaka-pressure siya. Parang doing a branding for a national artist for visual arts. So parang antagal. As in like, I think may time pa na nag-away kami ni Vince because nahihirapan kami to interpret yung project. So, and then parang ang ginawa namin, nag-identify kami ng 100 shapes dun sa paintings niya. Random shapes lang. And then parang yun yung mga 100 shapes. And then nag-identify din kami ng 100 colors dun sa mga paintings niya. And then that's what parang yun yung dun kami humugot ng inspiration. So parang since 100 years of parang celebration nung birth anniversary niya. So ito yung naging first example nung logo namin. And then parang the overlap. And then very simple lang yung gusto nila for the material. So very straightforward siya. So and then the colors. This one is this one's called dynamic branding. So wala siyang specific na logo. Parang it has parang the branding has a specific look. And then it changes depending on the usage. So it works for some projects, but not all. So parang ito yung ginawa namin for Cesar Legazpi. And then some actual na mga applications. So this is, I think, ito yung inaugural and opening reception nung buong celebration in CCP. So some of the materials for stationaries. There. So yeah, I think the second lesson that we can share with everyone is yun nga, parang establishing who you are. So a brand is a set of expectation, memories, stories, and relationships that taken together account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. So eto, for I think very special sa ating lahat yung next na project kasi we all work hard, very hard dun sa project na to. So this one's Intramuros administration. So ever since 2015, we've been working with Intramuros administration. So dalawang administration na actually yung sinaserve namin ni Vince. So previously with Sir Marcos Ardillo, tapos right now kay Attorney Gil. So there. I think yeah, before we start, I think maybe we can show them yung branding video natin. Sheena.
Wait, sorry guys ha, yung connection natin today medyo challenging, ano? Hold on. All right. Okay, let me try this time. There you go. So I hope you enjoyed that short video. So I started in the Intramuros administration mga 2017 lang. And this is one of the first few materials that they showed us. And ang initial thought ko lang is at least we're starting with something. You know, we're not starting from scratch. And again, a lot of the things that we are doing in this administration are actually a continuation of the past administration. So, okay, can you tell us more about the rebranding journey of the Intramuros administration? Because you honestly know more about it than me. So, go ahead.
I think si Vince can also tell more about the branding of Intramuros.
Mm-hmm.
Reymart, can you pull up the slides na lang?
Yes. Wait. Can you see it?
And so, yeah, nakaka-load lang. So, when actually yung rebranding ng Intramuros, it was initiated by the administration of Sir Marcos Ardillo, Attorney Marcos Ardillo. And during that time, wala pa kami nun ni Reymart sa picture. So, it was actually Ink Surge Design Studio who started the rebranding. So, they started with this green gate. And then the brief to them actually was to create a brand that's fresh and at the same time may hugot pa rin from the history of Intramuros. So next slide.
Wait lang,
So,
may I inject na the first logo of IA, it's actually the Puerto Isabel chambers because the first head of office of Intramuros was there before they transferred to the Palacio del Gobernador in the mid-1980s. So, yeah. Vince?
Okay. So next slide. So there, I think this is ito lifted from the website of InkSearch. This is their process for the logo design. So what they did was they took cues from the I think originally 8 gates of Intramuros, and then they converted it into something geometric, and then they from there, as you can see on this diagram, parang those lines and grids to form the I and the A. And next slide. And then sorry, parang isa rin sa mga intact pa rin sa Intramuros ngayon is yung iron grid pattern no managed towns. Yung grid mismo ng design ng logo is in itself part of the identity of the district. So for application, where we started making dictionaries, business cards. So based din siya sa brand guideline ginawa ng InkSearch. We use the brand colors, the patterns based din dun sa grid ng logo. So while we were working on the branded content, we developed yung visual identity rin through illustration. So in the early days, no rebrand. These are more internal things. So parang for presentations, for documents na sinasend sa mga senators for proposals. So we try to make it as visual, especially the covers. Kasi once on the desk of your congressman or senators, parang it has to stand out. So like this one, yeah, this one. These are proposal projects for Intramuros. So may during that time ito yung parang guide or yung parang design na fina-follow namin for presentations.
And if I may, since I've been working in the government for a few years, may malaking impact because a lot of the projects happen in government when you have budget. And as you know, it's a small pie, and there are a lot of agencies who want a piece of the pie. So kung maganda yung cover mo, it gets the attention. I mean, it helps get the attention. So like I said earlier, we're continuing a lot of the things that were started by the past administration. So the reason why marami din kaming nagagawa ngayon is nagkaroon kasi ng budget for these things.
Yeah. And actually during that si Attorney Marco is very specific then with the look of the presentation. He's parang minsan umabot kami ng midnight just designing the cover para ma-present tomorrow. And even now, until now, ganun pa rin tayo. We still do it.
Yeah, kasi
so very important talaga yung design sa Intramuros administration now.
I think kasi parang if wala siyang cover or if walang any visual presentation, it's just like a Word document na we pass dun sa mga legislators and also funding agencies. So it's very helpful when we want to explain more about the projects and also when we want to get their attention and also their support.
Next slide. Yeah. There. So for the walking map, so before we started this, yung walking map ng Intramuros is very, what do you call this? Very old.
Kasi let's just say it's a bond paper with a map that's black and white. That's it, basically.
Yeah. And I think yung parang running theme din before is to make it look old. That's why it's printed on a brown paper. And
but so yeah, when we were studying it, I mean, you already started, diba, planning the walking map. But when we came in 2017, there was a survey by the Department of Tourism that around 93, if I'm not mistaken, % of visitors, kasi yun yung hype ng mga backpackers, they want to tour themselves alone. And
Yeah.
ayaw nila kumukuha ng guide masyado, especially the younger ones, the millennials
Yes.
who are backpacking the world, Europeans especially, gusto nila, they get to navigate the place on their own. So, diba, ito basically gusto natin mangyari. So, can you expound more on the creative process on how you came up with the design of the walking map?
Yeah, so actually for the walking map, we started then, yung jump off point din namin is from the work of InkSurge. So when we came in, meron na silang draft na design for the map. So we tried to expand na lang like the illustrations, we tried to extract and then created some more elements to add to the map that they did. And then from there, I think what we wanted to show, with the illustrations is to make it look fun and fresh. So even the colors, we took cues from the original color ng brand, and then the other casting colors like the blues and the greens.
So yon, a lot of people keep asking me, bakit ba puro orange and yellow yung Intramuros? Again, this is nothing political, okay? Can you explain again kung ano yung importance ng yellow and orange based on the original logo? I mean, the new logo that was created.
Yeah, originally, based on the website of InkSurge, the inspiration for the colors are the 100,000 sunsets and sunrise that the walls have seen throughout the history. So from there, yun na lang din yung kinuha natin na inspiration. And since Intramuros is by the bay, like makikita na talaga natin from Intramuros yung sunset every day. Actually, basically.
Ayan. So out of all the designs that we ask you to do every now and then, why is it important for us to be designing new at the same time keeping things consistent? Like, you're gonna show the next one, which is our Intramuros deep card, no? Na medyo maraming similar elements to that of our walking map.
Yeah. So for designing the branded content for Intramuros, we try to stick to this specific look. Kasi parang we want the public to remember Intramuros this way, visually. So that's the importance ng branding. So when you see, kahit yung illustration pa lang, wala pa yung logo, nandun pa lang yung colors, you immediately think na Intramuros administration na kaagad. So like this one sa beef card, you can see that we took elements from the walking tour map, and then we just relayed out the whole thing and then turned it into a beef card design.
All right, so yun nga. So we try to keep some things consistent, right? But we opened the Museo de Intramuros last year, and we had a different design approach for that, diba? So can you tell us more at bakit colors lang yung ni-retain natin to that for the museum?
Yeah, so for the Museo de Intramuros, though it's still a brand, technically a brand under Intramuros administration, we wanted to have a different visual identity, but not veering away from the original. So we took the orange color from the original branding, and then we used it in sa mga materials ng Museo de Intramuros. And from there, I'm not sure kung saan namin nakuha yung illustration nung front view. I think from the architecture department division. So we took that, and then from there, parang naisip namin na parang, okay, so you have the lines then, similar to the grid na ginagamit natin for Intramuros administration. So we just use it the same way na ginagamit natin yung patterns ng original na branding.
And yeah, I guess it was really important for us at that time kasi the Museo de Intramuros would house the ecclesiastical collection of the Intramuros administration, diba? So hindi naman pwedeng yung artsy, lively ng walking maps natin, yun din yung nasa museo. So, actually, wala dito yung iteration, pero we also have, when we opened the museum, we had a pamaypay. Tapos, ang design niya, itong grid, itong illustration ng museum. Ayan. Okay, so now let's talk about one of the, I think this trended online, one of the designs that we've made is that of the Wayfinding System of the Intramuros administration. So yun nga, we had the walking maps, right? But another thing that we noticed is, okay, there are maps, but we realized that a lot of the people can't really place themselves in the map. Alam mo yun, hindi nila ma-identify yung you are here, nasan ba ako? Yan. So, kaya natin din-develop tong Wayfinders, diba? To help in the navigation. So, everything here, from design, concept, everything, it was really through long hours of research. Like, there's a science to it. And Vince, can you tell us more about the process of coming up with the designs of the Wayfinders?
Yeah. So, ito naman, yung wayfinding system na to, it started early with Attorney Mario. Parang it's an idea during that time. So, we started drafting yung design. So, ano ba? So, when we go to other countries, diba, other cities, we usually see yung sobrang systematized nila na wayfinding. So from there, parang yung city branding mismo nag-trickle down na dun sa wayfinding nila. So you can see the colors, the typeface that they use for the brand nung city, ginagamit na rin nila sa wayfinding system nila. So for Intramuros, that's what we envisioned then. So the colors brand to trickle down to the streets, sa pinaka-visible to the tourists. So for this one, yun nga, as Sheena said kanina, parang we went through a lot of research, reference materials for this wayfinding system. So as you can see on this diagram, we have this family of signages. Sorry, back slide yung kanina. So yeah, may family of signage. So you start with the wayfinding slabs. Nandito yung lahat ng info about the perimeter na district. So, and then you go to the directional tab. So ito naman yung direct to the streets, or actually yung nandito yung pangalan ng streets kung nasan ka. And then once you walk, you end up with the site identifiers. So ito naman yung magsabi kung nasaan ka na, nakarating ka na ba dun sa destination na tinuturo ng wayfinding system. So with the site identifier, you also have the historical marker. Bilang historical din yung district natin. May mga sites ngayon sa Intramuros na dati nandun, pero ngayon iba na yung building. So we have to add these historical markers to let people know ano yung nandito before. And even now, ano siya before, ano na siya ngayon. And then we added yung supplement wayfinding system, like this movable information cabinet. That's where we use yata for the events. And even this movable billboard na pwede natin i-move around the district. So,
yeah,
slide.
And those information cabinets are very helpful during events kasi we don't really like tarps in the district kasi nga heritage ito.
Yeah.
Plastic isn't really a good material apart from being, concerned of the environment. So ito yung in-add namin kasi when we rebranded, sobrang dami ng events na nangyari sa Intramuros. Maya't maya may poster ganyan. Masyado ng clutter yung mga tarps, diba? Ayun.
Yeah. So, so yeah, so yung brief then for the wedding system, marami ring opinions about this. Like, bakit daw modern? Bakit hindi mukhang luma? So, isa rin sa direction kasi na gusto natin puntahan with Intramuros is to move forward and be a living city. And one of the reasons why we did this modern take is kasi rin parang yung for visibility, for it's easier to read, and from walking from 2 meters distance or from 5 meters, you see from afar, nabasa mo na yung text, unlike kung serif yung font mo or yung may mga buntot na text, medyo hindi mabasa from afar. So on this slide, we can see examples of historical sites then around the world. pero they use then modern fonts, modern sign, and even the colors. Next slide. Ayun. So with the colors, para sa science behind the 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 system, how we choose these colors then. Parang, so all the colors, meron silang light reflectance value. So with those values, there's a computation para makuha mo yung contrast value. So yung contrast value nun, parang ito yung minimum visible value. So pag pinagtapat mo yung dalawang kulay, pag pinagsama mo sila, lululis ang pagsama sila or visible siya kahit malayo. So usually yung contrast value, 70 yung parang passing. Pag nasa 70, nakita siya from afar. So we try to look for the values of these. So yun, nandun pa rin yung consistent orange na color. And then the brown, the blue, and the green, these are international standards based on the, I think, UNESCO na guideline for historical sites. Tama ba yun, Sheena? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Ayan. So apart from the color, Reymart and Vince, no, it was a huge importance also is the font size and font styles natin, di ba? When Vince and Reymart were explaining this to me the first time, kasi kami sa agency implementation kami, di ba? So what's good on paper has to be good on the actual material also. So can you tell us more about why you chose these fonts?
These fonts naman, parang, yun din, parang primary goal natin.
Hello, Vince. I think there's a problem with your connection. Mart?
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. I think there's a problem with Vince's
Sorry.
connection.
Okay.
Ayun. Vince, we hear you, but we don't see a video. So, go ahead.
Ayan, so I think just to further discuss lang yung part ng sa fonts, yung what the reason why we chose this specific font is yung very direction sa amin ni Attorney Marco before is it has to be free and also kailangan din very legible and very simple lang. So we didn't want to like introduce any like complicated na font. So very clean lang siya. So sans serif yung pinik namin. It's Roboto siya. So it's a free font so we can use it anywhere. And also, ayun. Just to give us, just to guide us then, dun sa required viewing distance then. So parang like what Vince parang was discussing earlier, yung required viewing distance and parang yung science behind the signages. We have to take those into consideration when it comes to like designing these things. So I think meron ding mga questions before sa Facebook na parang bakit yung ibang signages mas maliit yung font. Parang but kasi when you're driving parang hindi masyadong visible. Parang those specific signages kasi are for pedestrians. So parang I think one of the key considerations for that move then is gusto din natin maging walking city in Intramuros. So we want to introduce yung culture of walking dun sa mga taong mag-visit na Intramuros and even the ones living inside Intramuros. So yun, kaya parang kinonsider din namin these things when it comes to like yung actual na presentation na nung mga signages.
Yeah, that's correct. I remember we had a discussion na gusto natin lumapit yung tao. Di ba? From afar, you already see Fort Santiago.
Yeah.
But then, kailangan mo lumapit at a certain distance para mabasa mo yung description pa na nandun. And because you walk closer, andun ka na sa site. So, dire-diretso mo na, explore mo na siya. So, tactics yun para pumasok kayo sa mga sites namin.
So, ayan, I think parang Vince can also share yung more information regarding dun sa signages para sa signage type.
Okay. Yeah, so for the Wayfinding slabs, this one is inspired by those na nakita namin sa Hong Kong. Like you have those sa taas na you have the basic info, like ano yung malapit na transpo, ano yung or toilet, yung mga necessities na kailangan ng mga travelers or mga backpackers. And then when you go deeper dun sa info slabs, you get to see I think within 5-minute perimeter ng walking, nandun yung sites na malapit. So nandun din yung parang basic info about these specific sites, ano yung opening hours nila, even contact numbers ata and websites nandun. So ayan, tapos may sa baba nandun din yung basic info, ano yung allowed, like is smoking allowed in this area in the district. Yan.
And yung Vince, what was important was yung pets. Are pets allowed?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have been asking on social media, what about their fur friends? So yan, nung nilagay namin yung signage na yan, ang daming nag-repost na, okay, pwede palang dalhin sa gardens yung mga dogs, no? And I remember ilang beses natin pinalitan yung what is walking distance? So we relied on a lot of standards, international standards, but we had to make sure na yung local natin, like the first people who would respond to this are the people working and living in Intramuros. And I think bang original walking distance natin? Parang 500 meters or something. And then we had to change it to 300 meters. 300. Kasi parang mas yun yung reasonable dun sa survey na ginawa namin sa mga tao dun sa area.
So, I think the next type. Oops, yeah. So, ayun, same lang din. You have the priority pa rin dito is higher visibility. Mas namabasa siya. And then for this one, we added yung icons. So, parang for this specific system, like parang if it's a church or if it's a government office or LRT station. So you have those icons then to show it clearly. So yeah, this one naman, I think sinasabi ko kanina site identifier na parang pagdating mo na dun sa site, it immediately gives you an idea of what it is or what it was. So it helps then dun sa mga nagsa-self-guided tour, like parang these are extra info. And then eventually, I think the plan here is to have QR codes na may integrated siya sa isang app where you can see expanded form nung info about the places and even photos. Yeah, it's the same. So ito yung render niya when we were working on it. So isang factor din nung design is to elevate the pedestal nung mismong poles. Kasi di ba, being in a tropical country, laging inuulan. So very prone yung materials to degradation or masira siya, makakalawangin. So we elevated these poles ng mga ilang inches, like 4 inches from the ground. Yeah, so even yung movable billboard, parang we designed it in a way na kayang buhatin ng 3 tao or 4 na tao yung cement slab niya sa ilalim para madali rin siyang ilipat. So yan, ito yung mga parang basic renders na pinakita namin when we were having it approved.
And for the information of the public, again, what's on paper is very different on actual installation. So we walked ulit. Will the placement of the signage work? If you're in the car, do you really see it? Things like that. So I guess what was really important here for the Wayfinders is maging effective yung information na malalagay dun sa Wayfinders. And I remember may mga tao, like the public mismo, while they were installing this, like some of the students, like from Mapua, they were asking questions na, bakit dito nilalagay? Dito yung pasukan ng tao. So hindi namin makikita kung dito nyo ilalagay. So the public was also, the feedback of the public was important while we were installing these. So kung makita nyo kung ilang changes yan from the original number of signage and original placement, sobrang daming changes talaga nito. Kasi we want the budget to be spent for this na efficient naman, na hindi kami uulit-ulit gagawa ng signage every now and then. We want na pag nalagay ito, doon na siya.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think parang important, naging one of the problems din na na-encounter natin, parang there are streets na very limited yung visibility nung mga placement ng signages, parang depending din kasi dun sa mga nakasurround na mga buildings. So, yun, parang ang daming naging adjustments din natin. So, etong naka-flash right now, ito na yung actual na photo. One of the actual parang application na nung signage natin. So,
yeah, so you can see there's a huge Baluarte de San Gabriel that you see from your car, or if you're from afar, you can see when you're walking towards it, ito yon, tama yung pinupuntahan ko. And then you have to go closer to read the historical information. Ayan, so one of the questions here kasi is, pwede bang, bakit daw walang pictures, yung historical markers? So originally, we wanted to have old photos talaga. But then when we were doing the actual layout, we saw na hindi lahat ng mga sites my old photos. Yon. So we said, okay, let's just stick to the text, but we have a place for a QR naman. And that's where we can load the photos. Diba? So just to answer one of the questions na binigay ng ating audience. Alright, so yon, dahil nag-rebrand tayo, yung walking map natin, a lot of our designs made it to social media. And because of that, it was like a push and pull of drawing people to the district. Na we wanted people to go there, not just because of the heritage sites alone, but for them to rediscover the district and give it a new meaning to them. So what we did basically was we opened up a lot of our areas for different events, diba? So meron kami, one of the favorites, if you can show the next slide, is the Intramuros Open Cinema. I'm not sure if any of you have experienced it already, but we've been doing outdoor film screenings in Fort Santiago, in Puerto Real. Ayan. We also had, and we tied up with the World War II Foundation. We partnered with Film Development Council of the Philippines, Design Center of the Philippines. So these are also government agencies. Since parehas kami ng gustong gawin, which is promote heritage and culture, we just basically gave them the venue. Yeah. And then we also did the Young Scholars Conference last year. So sa usapin ng heritage and culture, lagi na lang sinasabi, matatanda lang naman kasi yung mga may alam dyan at may gusto. But you'd be surprised at how many young people, millennials and Gen Zs, are already working in heritage and culture. So we did this Young Scholars Conference and we invited very young speakers who are starting to be experts in their fields of heritage and culture. Ayan. And then we also have been doing free days na alam ko pinipilahan sometimes 7,000 a day, 6,000 a day. Sobrang daming pupunta sa district. Kasi this was for June 12 last year, Independence Day. Free entrance to all the museums and sites in Intramuros. So even our privately owned museums, pinalibre nila yung entrance. So yan, dumami lahat ng tao. Tapos, what we've been doing, especially for events, yung mga lecture, kasi mas mahirap humugot ng tao for that, is we give away free beep cards. So yan, so dumami yung mga nagko-collect ng beep cards. Ayan, and then, yun, because of this open, open houses that we've been doing, we felt the need to have it regularly. So, kung hindi nangyari yung COVID, actually, our board already approved it to have a quarterly open day or a day where sites and museums in Intramuros are open, at least for those managed by IA. Pero our private sector partners din naman, like Bahay Chinoy, Museo Distilleria Limtuaco, they also participate. Ayan. We also collaborate with a lot of people, young people, who think of art festivals, music festivals, concerts, ganyan. Maya't maya makaka-receive kami ng message na gusto nila gumawa ng activity doon. And as an agency, sometimes we're limited when it comes to budget for activations or events, no? So kung nandyan naman na willing na group, like ito, Paris Sining, meron din kami, the one who helped us with the We Are Intramuros concert last year. the Intramuros Rising group, ayan. So these are just youth groups who've been giving intent to the Intramuros administration that they do want to have events in the Heritage District because young people really find it important for their generation to find importance and to remember the historical significance of the district. So, ayan, I'm sure, especially those who follow us on social media for the past 2 years, so sobrang daming events every week, parang twice or thrice. Ayan, sobrang dami. Ayan. Okay, so, what about other districts? Like, ayan, ang dami na nating examples for Intramuros. And we mentioned that you've been also helping other districts. What are other examples that you can share to our audience na ano pa yung pwede nating gawin?
Well, I think yung before we end yung discussion, but I think it's very coming from the events also na parang part of the parang rebranding of Intramuros is inviting younger people to participate in building the institution that it is now. So ayun, parang yung next project that we're going to present naman is all about Escolta. So this yung gusto naming lastly i-share na lesson when it comes to like dealing with heritage and cultural institutions. And specifically for this one, it's a community effort. So there are a lot of lessons parang that we can all learn from this project also. So I can show you the. So I think yung last na gusto namin i-share is you don't lose your focus parang when it comes to branding. So parang now that you know yourself and parang now that you know parang what you have to keep on doing and what you want to do parang to further the information to the public and your stakeholders, yung I think yung final na important na message is to not lose your focus. So parang who we are to the outside world and whether we are able to manifest our purpose is the result of work done when no one is looking. So I think yun for as a part of the Escolta Block na community, it's very parang itong effort that is very close to our hearts kasi nag-start talaga siya parang back in 2016. So it was a community effort. Nag-start nito is yung artist group in Escolta called 98B. So what we all wanted, parang nag-gather kami and then parang they headed the gathering. Tapos we all wanted parang something na that people can look forward to and also para it's easier for us to invite them. Kasi I think you know that Sheena na parang medyo mahirap mag-invite ng friends sa mga parang cultural events and parang historical events kasi parang events that parang celebrate historical events. So mahirap siya kasi sorry, nandito si Lindy. So ayun.
Lindy wants to be heard because she's part of this process now.
So ayun, so for the Escolta Block Party yun. So nag-start siya with 98B, inviting all of us at Escolta to talk about like what we can do to invite more people dun sa district. So yun nga, parang being creatives, designers and artists, parang we work together to introduce yun nga, parang yung first Escolta Block Party back in November 26, 2016. So parang this is how it looked like. So kinlose namin yung I think just yung front lang ng First United Building.
Yeah.
So very small pa lang siya na gathering. So parang nagbibiruan kami before na parang it's also an excuse na para pumunta yung mga tao. Kasi whenever we invite them na come and visit our studio or yung building and parang just to go around Escolta and Binondo, parang they always have a hard time parang planning it out kasi malayo daw, tapos ma-traffic, maraming nangyayari sa Manila. So yun, so parang medyo mahirap mag-invite ng friends to come to Escolta before. So that's why naging helpful din tong move na to ng community to introduce Escolta. So ayun, so when it comes to the branding naman ng Escolta, yung gusto lang namin nung at first it has to be parang a celebration, parang it will look like a celebration of the streets. So, very simple lang siya. Tapos, we were inspired by parang 80s, 70s, 80s na parang design specifically by Erdo Balin na parang ganitong type siya na yan, very compact tapos nagfo-flow lang siya. So, ito yung first na material for Escolta Block Party. So, nung 2016. So, back then, yan, parang it's a street gathering of a lovely community. So, very straightforward pa lang yung event nun. Tapos, eventually, nag-evolve siya. Ito yung second one. Tapos, ito some of the materials that we did. And then, yun, parang just to give an idea lang what happens during an Escolta Block Party dun sa mga hindi pa nakakapunta. So, there are art installations, tapos talks and workshops, and then tours and exhibits. So, yeah. So, ito yung history ng Escolta Block Party. Tapos, nakapag-celebrate kami ng around 7 Escolta Block Parties. So, ayun. It's one of the events na nilolook forward ng creatives in Manila, I think, and even for us. So parang we get to celebrate around friends and also around other passionate people na we want to be inspired by. So ito yung naging history ng Escolta Block Party. So but then again, parang umabot kami sa point na nagkaroon kami ng platform to say things and platform to celebrate things. So, we had to rethink kung ano yung gagawin namin for the future na Escolta Block Party. So,
sorry, to add to that, parang with the block parties, parang it became sort of a safe space. Like, even now, like kahit walang block party, pag pumunta ka doon, you feel like there's no judgments or you feel that you belong in that area. Kahit ano ka man, like, you're accepted. So, yun din yung nakuha naming feedback, especially with the young people, na parang, bakit kayo pumupunta? Ang layo-layo ng pinanggagalingan nyo. Like, galing kayong south, but you still travel all the way to Escolta. So, yeah.
So, yun. Pero na-surprise din kami kasi napinick up siya ng mga media outlets. So, ever since nag-start kami nung nag-start kami ng block party, wala kaming anything na PR kits, wala kaming anything na wala kaming any ads na parang na pinuput out there, even sa Facebook. So parang surprising talaga yung naging effect nung kahit kami, sobrang na-surprise kami dun sa naging impact and effect nung Escolta Block Party, not just only dun sa community, sa creative community, but also sa lahat ng pupunta na parang where we get feedback from. So, ayun. So, parang ito yung lahat ng mga, even sa Twitter, of course, parang nagsusocial din kami. So, parang pinapakinggan din namin kung ano yung mga comments ng mga tao after the Escolta Block Party. Tapos, if meron silang suggestions or kung ano man yung na-feel nila during the party. So, ayun, going back dun sa Escolta Block Party, I think yun, very important for cultural and heritage institution, and even like movements like Escolta Block Party na ma-establish nga at first kung ano yung goals nyo para kumbaga kung umabot kayo sa point na nag-introduce kayo ng mga additional programming such as this one or like even with Intramuros yung collaborations natin with other agencies, parang it guides us kung sino yung tamang maka-collaborate natin and kung ano yung pwede natin gawin in the future para mas clear pa yung messaging at parang mas alam ng mga tao kung ano ba talaga yung nangyayari dun sa district and ano yung gusto nating future na mapuntahan. Ayan. So,
go ahead.
Ayan. So, I think it's also important na with the response ng public sa Escolta Block Party and parang the platform that we were given, we had to rethink everything kasi one of the things na parang napansin ng mga tao regarding sa branding Escolta Block Party is the fact na ang hina-highlight namin is yung party. So kaya especially dun pa lang sa name ng event. So yun, may mga criticism din around it na parang it's just a party or parang you're just partying around the streets, parang so yun, we also had to take those into consideration when it comes to moving forward with whatever effort na ilo-launch namin in the future. So dun, I think yun, Vince can also discuss more on about how and why we launched Escolta Block Festival. Pero yun, I think you have a question, Sheena.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So for the Escolta Block Festival, we wanted to actually to kind of veer away from the partying, though it's still the main event of the whole festival. But for this one, instead of doing multiple Escolta Block parties for the whole year, we wanted to do one big festival in 1 month, within 1 month. So we chose the month of November because that's also the inaugural Escolta Block Party month. And then for this one, we wanted to highlight the local, what do you call this, visual vernacular of Escolta and Binondo, specifically the locality of that area. So for the process of the branding for this specific event, we did a custom type that's also based on the folk typography. And yeah, so this type specifically started from the baybayin. I'm not sure if we have it on the slides, but the first iteration of this type was a baybayin syllabaric. And then from there, yeah, this one. From there, we took the DNA, the curves, the shapes of the baybayin, and turned it into a Roman alphabet. Yeah, so yeah, that specific typeface, yun na yung naging isa sa mga main branding for this specific festival for 2019. So yeah, I think Reymart can talk about the theme of last year's festival.
And so, syempre, hindi naman natin alam na mangyayari yung pandemic. But back in 2019, when we were planning about the Escolta Block Festival, we wanted to look forward into the future na whatever parang kaming lahat, parang as a creative movement, can contribute to our cities and parang even society, parang hindi lang when it comes to design or hindi lang when it comes to like visual arts or visual communication. We also wanted to start discussions and start conversations about parang the future of our city. So yung ginawa naming main theme for last year, na very lang siya, parang very broad siya, but at the same time parang it's a positive call for everyone. So it's future forward. So, ito yung naging process namin dun sa branding nung festival. So, yun nga, yung nabanggit ni Vince kanina yung local folk typography, tapos baybayin and Chinese apothecary. So, kasi we also recognize na parang yung district ng Binondo parang plays a lot about the history of the place, and also the people who are working in parang around the neighborhood and who are living in the neighborhood. So it's very important to take them into consideration. Again, going back dun sa first na lesson, na parang you have to tell your own story. So kaya parang for this edition of the Block Festival, we wanted to take cues from our local design practices or parang local design inspirations, rather than taking parang something from Western influences. So ito yung future forward, tapos and parang a lot of parang things na remind kami and also na inspire kami, like yung parang 2 colors na calendar that they usually give out. So ito yun. And then parang yung nga parang sa mga parang Chinese medicine na nakikita natin around Binondo, yung mga illustration style. So yun, parang na-inspire kami doon. Pero very specifically, we picked an icon for the festival na that's very close dun sa celebration, which is yung nilad na plant. So ayun, I think si Vince can also share more about this.
Yeah, so when we were ideating about the branding, so parang we wanted to go back to the roots ng Manila. Ano ba siya? San siya nanggaling yung pangalan? So obviously it came from the plant nilad, which used to grow and even sa Manila Bay. We took that as an icon for the district, for the city, and then even the indigo na color, parang it's historic then to I think a lot of pre-Hispanic Filipino people kasi yun yung isa sa mga natural dye na ginagamit natin, indigo. So from there, we incorporated the design and then the illustration and the type, and then even the colors coming from the vernacular ng mga design ng mga packaging, the calendar, and then we added the baybayin ng Manila, which uses the same typeface. Yeah. So this is the main key visual that we came up with. Yeah.
So ayun, I guess parang important din to note that since parang at the very beginning pa lang of the process, na set na namin yung tone, yung design elements ng branding of the festival. It was easier for us to translate those into these during the festival. So parang we had parang Live by Design and Design Talk. Parang we highlighted regional design practices. So we invited designers from Baguio, Palawan, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro to talk about parang how yung geography nila affects the way they design or yung design thinking nila. And also we of course parang we had to parang we had to do a love parade for our dear friend Carlos Aldran. So and then we also did a talk for film about film, and then yun nga parang yung Zumbang Gabi. This is actually in collaboration with National Parks and Development. So I think meron tayong participants ngayon sa
collaboration din siya with the local barangay.
Yeah. So yung parang for this one, what we wanted to highlight then is the fact na parang gusto din namin i-involve yung other. Kumbaga kasi ever since the beginning, naging highlight or parang naging main market ng Escolta Block is parang yung mga creative. So right now parang gusto din namin na yun nga parang in a way i-strategize yung buong festival in such that na pati yung mga local residents and even yung mga neighbors natin sa Luneta, yun parang sila specifically in-invite namin to do yung Zumba sa along Escolta. So ayun parang we invited the DJ si DJ Subic Bay. So siya yung play ng music, tapos parang nag-freestyle ng Zumba moves yung mga instructors natin na hinap tayo ng National Parks and Development. So there. So parang yun nga, just going back dun sa last lesson that we wanted to share is parang not losing your focus. So kumbaga a lot of times na isip namin na baka yung Escolta Block Party, yung iniisip lang ng tao or ng market is the fact na it's a big street party in Manila. So gusto namin during the festival is i-marry namin yung two, yung discussion and conversation around the city, about the city and about how we can help the city parang a better place to live in. So ayun, ito parang we also wanted to highlight yung local design culture, and I think yung specific na yung photo set na naka-show ngayon is yung space na we got to build during the festival called Escolta Exchange. So this is in collaboration with a private company. So ayun, parang ang nangyari dun sa partnership namin with them is gusto namin mag-put up ng space where we can explore a lot of things. Like supposedly meron kami dapat programming this year for this specific space, pero yun nga, I think parang the pandemic happened, so na-put on hold everything. And yun nga, ang hirap din kasi mag-set ng gatherings right now. Pero yung goal for this specific space dapat is para siyang free space where we can explore like design exercises and also collaborations with other artists in Manila, parang sa Manila and even around the Philippines. So, ayun, just going back dun sa naging response. So, parang ito yung isa sa mga favorite photos namin during the Escolta Block Festival. Kasi parang sobrang na-overwhelmed din kami dun sa response ng mga tao. And we, even yung local parang city office, so we worked with them then. So parang important din sa amin na magkaroon ng dialogue and magkaroon ng I think at least an open channel of communication with the local the local government, kasi we've been doing this independently ever since. So parang it's good to know na parang moving forward meron din kaming meron din kami nako-contribute dun sa conversation about parang urban design policies or even like mga urban design considerations when it comes to not just Escolta but around the city. So I think, Sheena, di ba parang nagkaroon din ng dialogue about din sa wayfinding system sa Intramuros?
Yeah. Actually, what we really appreciated with the Escolta Block Festival is that it became an avenue also for other districts to share what's happening. Like, I remember you invited Intramuros administration to talk about yung mga projects namin, di ba? Yung mga projects namin with the community and things like that. And I guess, yun nga, when you look at this photo, it's like a lot of kids partying. But from a perspective of someone who was frustrated at one point, bakit konti lang nag-appreciate ng Manila as a historical and a cultural district. If you experience the Escolta Block Party, matutuwa kayo na wow, ang daming kabataan na gustong makialam, naghahanap lang siguro ng opportunities, ng platform. And I guess best example ito yung ginawa nyo sa PepsiCo na building. It used to be, what was nothing, diba? Like, ano lang ba siya? Wala.
Para ever since
yeah, but basically it's wasted space before they converted it into this new arts laboratory. And I remember when I went to the last Escolta Block Festival, is yun nga, yung pinakita nila kanina. If you're a fan of different fonts, matutuwa kayo na there are a lot of graphic design artists who integrate what they think or they reflect the Filipino identity in their designs, whether it's in the corporate or their products or whatnot. So a good takeaway of the Escolta Block Festival really is giving a platform to the young generation to be more creative and trying to help these old heritage and cultural institutions to be relevant again in this in our society.
I think yung isa pang surprising that we forgot to mention is the fact na kami na surprised din kami dun sa amount or parang sa number nung volunteers that parang who wanted to help during the festival. And even now, meron kaming contact sa kanila, and sila rin mismo parang gusto nilang mag-work with the Escolta community sa future festival or even a future effort. So I think parang if there's a specific thing na sobrang binavalue namin na nag-come out of this effort is the fact na parang we got to parang affect these younger generation of like heritage and cultural workers and advocates na parang who really want to work dun nga sa mga for the institution and to help these institutions like us and parang even like for example Intramuros administration. So yun yun yung I think yun yung sobrang binavalue namin dun sa naging outcome ng festival. So I think before we end yung presentation is yun nga parang the specific quote lang we want to leave you guys with this specific quote na parang brand is not what you say it is, that's what they say it is. So ayun, yun nga, parang kaya binavalue namin sobra kung ano yung sinasabi ng mga tao after the festival or even like sa Intramuros, nakikinig tayo sa mga estudyante, nakikinig tayo sa Facebook kung ano yung sinasabi nilang kailangan nila. Kasi at the end of the day, parang design is all about answering problems or answering these questions. So para mas mag-function in a better way yung specific thing na yun nga na parang kumbaga na ginagawa natin. So
Ayun.
So-
All right. Do you want to add anything else before we go to our Q&A?
ayun lang, if you have questions
okay.
and if you want to know yung more about our works yun, so at Public School Manila, and you can email us at hello@publicschoolmnl.com. So yun lang.
Ayan. Okay, all right. So, what a beautiful discussion. Thank you guys as always. Now we have a lot of questions, as in ang dami nating questions. So, thank you to the IA team who've been answering some of the questions online already. But here, we left some of the few questions for you to answer live. How is brand design for heritage or cultural institutions different from that of commercial products and services? Any differences in approach?
Yeah. I think specifically for yun nga, for cultural and heritage institutions, parang yung binibenta mo kasi hindi mo na siya bubuukin. So parang it's been there. And meron ka ng concrete or meron ka ng set of things that you can take inspiration from. So yun yung biggest difference when it comes to design approach, especially kapag commercial yung product. Kasi kapag yung parang at least dun sa mga projects that we've worked on in the past, they're reintroducing or introducing a new product. So pwede mo pa siyang in a way parang i-edit yung branding or i-edit yung image or i-edit yung product. Pero for example sa Intramuros, lahat ng design briefs or lahat ng all the considerations we have to take parang are existing already.
Yeah,
So-
and it's important yung accuracy din, no? A lot of times when you have discussions, we go back to our research, we go back to the books. Ano ba yung mga mahalagang bagay na dapat nating i-remind sa public, for example? Vince, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So I think one of the big differences din nung branding for commercial versus the institutional or heritage is yun nga, kailangan talaga you work close with the research and yung history. Kasi these things very very vital yung history kasi yun din yung root niya. Like for example, Intramuros and Escolta, these are places that are defined by their history. So when doing brand work for these things, you really have to take them in consideration, or that's the main priority. And yun din, yung parang sino ba yung kausap natin? Sino yung kinakausap natin with all these materials that we're publishing?
All right. Okay. It's a nice question. How can cultural heritage sites that are working on a very minimal budget maximize the resources that they have? What are the minimum branding requirements or elements that they can create for people to effectively recognize these cultural sites? Ayan. So, Reymart and Vince, working in the corporate and, I mean, with your experience working with the government, like kami sa Intramuros administration, honestly, we have very limited budget, and I must say we rely on the organic feedback of people on social media. So, Reymart and Vince, as I'm sure this is a question probably from a young designer. How is it like working with limited budgets?
I think yun, parang coming from experience na din natin, di ba, Shin? So I think yung with the minimum branding, parang kung meron kang minimum na budget when it comes to branding, it's always good to start with, kasi parang the misconception about branding is it's all about logos, colors, and also the like parang branded content or branded materials. But it's very important to start at the very core of everything. So branding relies a lot on the parang the core values, the mission and vision statement, and also the goals of the institution. So if actually kung hindi mo kailangan ng budget for that, so parang even a very small brainstorming group you can do that. So ayun, I think that's a good start. So it's actually one of, if not the most important, it's one of the most important aspects of branding. So to really know parang who you are and parang what you stand for. So ayun, and aside from that, syempre parang I think logos and colors. So
And for me, I think, yes, Vince. Sorry.
Sorry. One of the parang mas giveaway na pwedeng gawin ng mga institutions is to be consistent with what they release on public, even in social media, specifically sa social media. Because that one, very high visibility siya. And hindi siya ganun kamahal gawin. You don't even need too much na budget for that. You just have to be consistent with the colors, with the layouts that you release.
And this question I get from a lot of other agencies, especially those working in LGUs and like small museums, is yun, where do you get your graphic designer, things like that. You'd be surprised kami sa IAA, maybe because medyo organic na nga yung following namin. Nagsasubmit na lang yung mga tao ng mga designs nila. There are students that you could tap. Marami dyan, especially for design students. It's their requirement. Maybe like within your community, you can partner with schools. Mapua has had a lot of students contacting us that they have a requirement. Yun, gumawa sila ng 3D video for us, things like that. So probably you can start where you are in your community and see kung sino yung mga pwede nyo itap. The youth, Gen Z, and the millennials, again, are very talented and they'd like to share their talent for free if they know that there's a higher purpose for it, which is, you know, contributing to our country, diba? And it's through art. So, yeah, marami tayong pwedeng itap. I guess lang sa social media namin kasi, dahil lagi naming nire-repost yung ginagawa ng mga artists, dumadami yung na-encourage to create. Yan. So, maybe that's what some of the cultural workers could do. All right, next question. Ay, maganda to. Parang beauty queen question. If you will be given an opportunity to design for a network of organizations, let's say government agencies, with both autonomy and dependence to each other, would you give it a unified branding or a different approach for each? Okay, so if it's if you're designing for a network of organizations, government agencies with both autonomy and dependence. I think magandang example dito yung Department of Tourism, which is mother agency namin. And then nandyan yung IA, nandyan yung Filipino, National Parks na magkakaiba yung identity and mandate. So what can you say?
I think it all depends kasi dun sa ultimate goal ng specific branding effort. So, like, I think for example, if for DO, I think DOT, we've been working with our mother agency regarding dun sa It's More Fun in the Philippines. So, kasi this is a branded campaign. So, parang with that, parang mas maganda na unified. So, everything. So, parang dapat lahat ng materials consistent. Kasi isa lang naman yung message na gusto nating ipaabot sa market or sa stakeholders natin, which is It's More Fun in the Philippines. But then again, if for example, IA has a very specific goal that they want to achieve, and na yung Pilipinas also a different specific goal that they parang another goal. So that's the time na mas mag-work yung parang kumbaga in a way specific na approach to them, what na mag-work and mag-address dun sa whatever problem that they're raising.
All right. Ano pang questions natin dito? How does psychology play a role in branding for these heritage sites? Technical.
Ang broad ng psychology, pero I think yung pinaka-obvious kasi na pwede namin i-answer regarding psychology is yung psychology of colors. and how it affects yung perception natin when it comes to a specific image. So, yun. Gawin na lang natin perfect example yung Intramuros administration. So, since we're using bright colors for Intramuros administration, it connotes a very young and vibrant image for them, and that's what we wanted ever since. So, yun, parang yun yung gusto natin maging trajectory ng image ng Intramuros na parang it's still a working city. Kasi before, parang we wanted to veer away from the fact na parang naluma na siya or napag-iwanan na siya. So, but at the same time, a lot of things are going on inside Intramuros. A lot of events, and there are a lot of institutions who are still launching. So, I think parang in the last few years, parang we've seen I think distillery alam ko ako, di ba? Parang I don't know if it's a reopening or parang rebranding of their museum and even Museo de Intramuros. So, there. I think yan, going back to the colors, it affects yung perception ng tao dun sa brand na introduce mo. So, of course, parang very obvious na kapag bright and light yung colors, you associate it with positive things. Kapag darker or more subdued, and mas premium, and also mas serious yung tone.
And also, if I may, di ba, we had one of those discussions na, because someone asked, bakit yung walking map natin, walang actual pictures ng sites and they're caricatures, di ba? And sinabi natin, because you have to see it for yourself, di ba? Parang patikim lang yung caricature and you actually have to go there to see what's there. Kasi that's what we want na response eh. Yung pumunta talaga yung tao sa Intramuros, kahit siguro napuntahan na nila nung bata sila, ganyan. We want people to go back and see what changed, di ba? Okay, all right. So, last few questions. For young designers and cultural workers, what is your challenge to them? And what should be the role of the youth in heritage and culture?
I think, yun nga, going back dun sa discussion regarding sa volunteers namin during the festival, yung challenge for the younger generation is how what we can do with whatever we have right now, and ano yung positive change na pwede natin i-affect dun sa specific cultural parang cultural setting natin right now. Kasi a lot of us have very limited budget and have very limited like capacity. So it's very important that we work with like-minded people. So yung specific na project dun sa festival wherein we gathered, I think parang more than 50 volunteers during the festival. And it was our first time to do that. So I think yung naging challenge namin for them is kami as parang the organizers right now, hindi namin siya kayang i-gawin. Parang kumbaga to keep on doing these things kasi syempre there will be other like priorities in the future and also for us personally. So yun, parang yun yung magiging challenge, kumbaga ano yung positive change or positive effect na pwede nilang contribute dun sa community.
Vince, do you have anything else to add before I ask our last question for this afternoon?
Yeah, siguro yung challenge ko for the younger generation of cultural worker and heritage workers is to try to find your place in this vast industry. Like parang find your niche. Like ano yung gusto mo talagang gawin and what you're passionate with. Kasi that directly translates to the work that you do. Like parang what's the point of all of this if you're not passionate with what you do? And then yung ilalabas mong work is very parang hilaw. Mas maganda na yung ginagawa mo rin is something that you're really interested in. So if you want to do more conservation work, research, or design, helping institutions through design, then you go for that track.
And I think it's good to note din, Vince, na parang that's how we started, and specifically how you started. Parang if you want to do something or if you want to collaborate with someone that you look up to, or like parang that's very influential to you, you can always approach them. So
Yeah.
That's true. Actually, with the help of social media, it's really easy to, connect with people who inspire you. And I guess for the Intramuros, Escolta, Binondo, itong Old Manila district talaga, I think yun yung nangyayari. Like Intramuros gets inspiration from Escolta, National Parks gets inspiration from everything that's happening. And if you see, I mean, if people are more aware of what happens behind the scenes, nag-uusap-usap kami kasi na-realize namin na ang market ni Escolta, ni Intramuros, Cubao at Makati poblasyon ay iisa. So even simple conversations like hindi kami dapat nagsasabay-sabay ng events kasi isi-split namin yung market namin, things like that. We actually talk about that. Ayun, kasi yun nga, we are very much aware of who our target market is. So because we are sure that in heritage and culture, it's important to tap the millennials and the Gen Z. Because once you do, everything will trend. Na magaling sila mag-influence ng circles nila. So just start with a small group, tas yan, madami na yan. So I hope with the other LGUs, for example, or cultural agencies na you think like you need a bigger boost, especially like in your social media following, tap the youth. Ayan. Okay, so last question. How should design practice initiate creative process for the new normal for a heritage district? How can design, branding inspire travelers to have confidence to visit again? Ayan. So, syempre, kailangan ang closing natin ay related sa surprise pandemic na nangyari.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think right now the discussion about this, how design can help with the new normal, it's already happening within circles, even sa financial districts, heritage districts, parang how do we move forward? So I think very vital yung design in moving forward with this one, especially with the I think very present sa environment natin ngayon yung mga markers, mga visual cues natin when lining up. So those things, those simple things, yun yung pinaka-importante kasi that guides the public on how to move around a specific space.
Yeah, so I think yung important yung visual cues right now, especially na yung isa sa main consideration natin during the pandemic is yung social distancing. So there are a lot of visual cues na we can introduce to the public with the use of like paints, parang tapes. So parang if there's parang yun nga, parang if there's parang a time for good design to if there's a best time for all of us to practice good design, it's actually now. Kasi yun, para well informed yung public, so yun, parang we can introduce a lot of like well designed materials, even like information materials lang online, so it will be very helpful for everyone. And at the same time, yun nga, yung mga cues natin sa social distancing, like arrows and text na dapat very legible and mas madaling makita and mas madaling maintindihan. So, and yun nga, parang kung i-relate natin siya sa tourism, so it's very important for heritage and cultural sites to at least, parang at the beginning, introduce those very simple or very basic na materials for social distancing, but at the same time, important din na I think one of the problems na na-encounter natin dito sa Manila is yung wayfinding system. So hindi lahat kasi ng institution, hindi lahat din ng buildings or ng cultural institutions merong wayfinding system. So even sa public spaces natin. So mahirap siya, parang since we want to limit yung contact natin sa isa't isa, ay at least physical contact, parang it's good to know na parang guided yung mga tao kung saan sila pupunta. So hindi sila maliligaw. So mas magiging efficient yung paggalaw ng mga tao and mas magiging efficient yung relationship natin dun sa environment without any risk of like the infection.
Yeah. And to add, on the side of the Intramuros administration, yun nga, relaying information is very, very important, you know. And in the long term, and now that we're preparing kung magiging MGCQ na, we're already preparing our materials on how to inform the public of what the new normal will be in Intramuros. For example, saan na lang ba yung mga entrance and exits? Anong sites ba yung pwedeng puntahan kung mag-open man kami? And even up to the tiniest details na the pedicab, ilang passengers lang ang pwede. Sa e-trike, how many passengers ang pwede at saka saan sila pwede umupo. Like, we're taking into consideration na the people can be disciplined if they are guided properly. And in the new normal, it will be very, very important that everyone contributes to making sure that our sites, our district, will be safe. And for the tourism industry, it's very important for us to, once we're allowed to travel, of course, is to gain the confidence of people to travel again. Because we have to, once we're all able to be more mobile, is to make sure that people will still go back to heritage sites. And all the more na kapag pwede na mag-travel, our cultural workers or tourism workers who have lost their job because of the pandemic need your support by, visiting these sites. Like, maraming nawalan ng trabaho yung mga pedicab drivers natin, the e-trike drivers, the kalesa drivers. So we would want in the future to help the public have confidence in traveling again and visiting the museums and things like that. But first and foremost, it's important that we inform the people how they can help us also. Yun. So, ang daming learnings actually ng pandemic na to. And on the side, again, of the IA, it was an eye-opener to check and recheck again if the information that we put out is understood by people. Like, it's not enough that you put out information. You have to make sure that your messaging or the way you put it out there, whether it's in a design or a video, a photo, is correctly understood by the people who are supposed to know about this information. Ayan. So we're running out of time, but thank you all so much for staying with us. This is one of the highest attendees of our highest Zoom participation rather. But yeah, we have to wrap it up. Again, thank you very much, Reymart and Vince. For all of you who have some questions that weren't addressed due to lack of time, you can message Vince and Reymart in their social media accounts. And Vince, Reymart, any closing before I go to our last reminders?
I think just to stay safe during this pandemic, and also like stay informed, and also read more information about what's happening. Kasi yun nga, parang as designers, parang it's very important also for us to stay connected and also to stay informed when it comes to whatever's happening outside. So yun, parang yun, mag-ingat and also stay informed.
Vince?
To the viewers now, I think what's important, especially in these times, is to know your privilege and know how to use that privilege to help people who are in need. So whatever practice you do, design, heritage, kung anong kaya mong gawin to help people, please do.
And yeah, may mga nagtatanong hindi daw sila designer or whatever. Sharing or liking goes a long way, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, if there are cultural institutions that you think need a little bit more boost, mag-share lang kayo. Kasi once you share, yung direct circle nyo, yun yung unang-unang mai-influence nyo. So, alam nyo ang power ng magte-trend online at alam nating magaling ang henerasyon natin dyan. So, yeah, if you think that's a good way for you to help, then do so. But make sure you're sharing correct information, okay? Ayaw po natin.
Fact check.
Fact check tayo pa ulit. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for all those who stayed, but we also apologize for the technical difficulty that we've experienced. Sana nag-catch up din yung internet connection natin. So if you missed any of our previous Intramuros learning sessions, you can check them out on YouTube, bit.ly/IAILS. Ayan. So this is our 10th episode. We've had 9. And I hope you catch those also kasi marami din kayong matututunan. Alright? And just to let you know, we are in Google Arts and Culture. So if kating-kating na kayo lumabas pero alam nyo hindi pa rin pwede and you still wanna explore like what's in the Museo de Intramuros, we have online exhibitions here. So I hope you do check that out. And please note that you have to search Intramuros Administration. Because when you just search Intramuros, it goes to a different page altogether. See, information is key. Alright, so these are the other social media channels of the Intramuros Administration. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. At alam yan ng mga followers namin, parati kaming nagre-respond lahat ng messages or concerns ninyo. And for those who have been sharing a lot of their art, nai-impress kami and I hope you do keep sharing. This pandemic is actually a good time to nurture your gifts and your talents. Yeah. Okay, guys, that has been the 10th episode of the Intramuros Learning Sessions. Stay tuned in our social media accounts for the next episodes and mark your calendars for June 12. Meron kaming ilo-launch very secret muna, but mark your calendars na rin. Alright? Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Reymart and Vince. Thank you, Secretary Berna and our Administrator, Attorney Gilliar Esito. We hope you all have a good afternoon. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.